When your pet has received a terminal diagnosis, or you've otherwise realised that the time for euthanasia will be soon, it may be tempting to come up with a bucket list of all the things you want to do together with the time they've got left. And this is quite a sweet idea, as long as you prioritise doing what your pet is still able to enjoy if they are unwell. And I'd also urge you to consider some practical things so that some decisions are just a little less daunting when that time eventually comes. If the diagnosis came as a shock, you might be in a rush to pack in lots and lots of activities, but that's not necessarily appropriate for how your pet is feeling. A dog with bone cancer, for example, may no longer enjoy the long hikes you used to go on, but they might still enjoy a lazy picnic in the park just a few metres away from the car park, so they're still surrounded by nature and they still have you there. A cat with kidney failure may not want to eat a whole bunch of different food, but it might still enjoy being in a sunbeam watching the birds with you. As per my previous video on euthanasia, if you've already made a list of your pet's favourite things to do, then focus on doing those things as much as possible. For this video, to make things just a little bit simpler, I've divided the things to do into things by hours, days, or weeks prior to euthanasia. In the weeks before euthanasia, hopefully your pet is still feeling pretty well overall and can still enjoy doing most things. You might even choose to start working on this list when you haven't got a euthanasia appointment set, just because you can see that your pet is indeed starting to show their age, because we know that none of us really get to live forever. From your point of view, this is about when I'd start thinking about where you want the euthanasia to happen, whether you want it to be in the clinic or at your home, or perhaps a third location that you can arrange, whether that's a friend's property or a grandparent's house, or lots of people take the dog up to the farm that they'd spend the weekends on. Whatever is both going to be nice for that pet and also okay for you. It's a completely personal decision, really. Some people prefer home because they don't have to transport the pet and they think they're more relaxed. And some people prefer the clinic because they don't want to walk past that spot in the lounge room where their pet died and have flashbacks every day. Think about who needs to say goodbye. Family is a fairly obvious one, but they might also have regular friends down at the dog park. Or maybe you had a regular visitor who would always take time to say hello to the cat. They might want to say goodbye as well. Kids in particular are a tricky one, and they might need a much longer lead up to say goodbye, because they may initially deny that anything's happening and want nothing to do with the pet. Don't have a lot of advice for that one, but time helps generally. Also consider what sort of photos you want to have to remember them by. You don't want to leave taking photos to the very last day, because they might feel sicker than you would like, and you probably want to remember them while they're having quite a good time overall. If you want a professional photographer to come out, now's probably a good time. You don't want to leave it until they're more visibly sick, because you want to focus on good times. While your pet is well enough, now is a good time to focus on visiting their favourite places. If they liked to go to the beach or the dog cafe or wherever it is that they like to go, now is the time while they're still able to do so. If their health starts to deteriorate, you might need to modify those trips so that the walks are shorter, or maybe you're just sitting on the beach instead of running up and down. But do play it by what your pet is up to. For some of them, that might just mean that they want to be with you. Their favourite place might be beside you at all times. And I'd recommend you do what you can to maximise that. It may also be very tempting to give your pet forbidden foods. You naturally want to spoil them in their last little bit of time left on this earth. But when we're still weeks out, I recommend giving them their favourite food, not forbidden food. We don't want to give them things that will make them sick, give them gastro or pancreatitis until a bit later down the track. So by all means, if the cat loves salmon, let her have salmon, but don't give the dog chocolate just yet. This might also be the time to do something a little bit extra special, something that you haven't actually done before. It's partly to help make memories and also to collect those extra special photos that you're going to treasure. An example might be making a ball pit for a ball-obsessed pet, or perhaps home cooking something extra special just for that pet so they can sit in the kitchen and watch you make it. As the weeks before euthanasia shorten to days before euthanasia, flexibility is key here. You need to realise that a pet's condition can change, and so you might need to bring the date of their euthanasia forward if something suddenly gets worse. On the flip side of that, if they're doing quite well, you might choose to push the date of euthanasia back. Generally, at the vet clinic, we don't mind as long as you're telling us what's happening, because we're going to be thinking about it otherwise and hoping that you're all doing okay. In the days before euthanasia, focus on spending quality time together. You don't have to do great big grand gestures, you just need to have each other's company. It might also be time to start breaking the rules a little bit. Discipline is not so critical at this point. If the cat wants to sleep on your bed, if they want to get up on the furniture, what's the harm at this point? Likewise, some forbidden food is also okay. If it's a little bit extra fatty than they used to, like bacon perhaps, they could have small tastes of it. Not so much that it's going to upset their gut and give them gastroenteritis on top of whatever they've got going on, but just little tastes, little treats. I still avoid anything known to be toxic, like chocolate or macadamias, but they can have little treats. In the final hours leading up to euthanasia, it's all about their experience and your experience. You will probably be asked to finalise some consent forms and just confirm who wants to be present or not present during the euthanasia itself. And this is a totally personal call. Don't let anybody guilt you into things one way or another. It's also probably a good opportunity to talk about aftercare arrangements, because you may not want to talk to anybody immediately after the euthanasia has happened. It's also fine if you haven't decided. There's often a couple of weeks where you can think about it if you need to. Aftercare is a polite way of saying what you would like to happen to the body after death. It is talking about cremation or burial or whatever other options are available local to you. Gather up any special toys or special bedding that you want to take with you to the appointment, and take whatever comfort items you as the human are going to need. You might have already discussed with the clinic whether they will do paw prints for you or fur clippings, but it's also fine to request something that hasn't been discussed. Most clinics are going to try to accommodate you where they can, because we've been through it too. We understand the train that's about to run its way through your heart. In the last 2 hours or so is probably a great time to go through McDonald's and grab the cheeseburger or the chicken nuggets that pet has been eyeing off for the previous however many years of its life. And it's also a great time to start giving chocolate, because there isn't enough time left for them to feel sick from those truly forbidden foods. Let them have whatever it is they want at this point. After the euthanasia, be very kind to yourself and anyone around you. It is a big emotion, losing a pet. Even if everything went perfectly to plan, it's still going to suck, let's be honest. If you drove into the clinic, just check yourself and whether you are in fact okay to drive home, or whether you need a friend or a support person to get you home instead. And really just be gentle with yourself. If you are struggling, Grief is normal, but if you think that this is actually not something you're coping with, please talk to somebody. If you're really not sure, if you're totally lost, you can even call the clinic. We understand the loss of a pet. We've all gone through it ourselves. We've all seen it 100,000 times. Sometimes you just need somebody to talk to a little bit, and sometimes you need actual grief counselling. And we can probably send you in the right direction. I have had one client knock themselves off after losing their pet, and I thought he was doing fine. I did not know that anything was wrong. So I do take it quite seriously, and I really wish he had reached out and spoken to somebody. We can't help if we don't know. So once again, I am sorry for your loss or for your impending loss. My name is Dr. Ferox, and you have my condolences for what you are about to go through. Take care of yourself and everyone around you.